have to make some minor adjustments, but.
So, this next speaker doesn't need any introduction. Well, my husband of 36 years now, this September. And as you know, he's so talented in his music, but you probably didn't know he's a wonderful speaker too. And he's been in the mystical, metaphysical teachings since he was 19, so that was just a couple of years ago, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 21 now, but yeah, 2 years.
So, you need us adjusted.
I think I'm good here. All right then.
So, Mr. Barry Cahill.
Thank you. So I'm going to talk today about a subject very near and dear to my heart, enlightenment. Enlightenment. We all want to be enlightened. A friend of mine had an idea for a product. He was going to call it Enlighten Mints. A little box of mints. I guarantee you will have enlightenment. Actually, I want to make a bold statement here. By the end of this talk, you will be enlightened.
Wow.
Now, we're not talking about the kind of enlightenment we hear so much about. Oh, you know, Jesus could walk on water, heal the sick, raise the dead. That's a kind of an idea of enlightenment that is kind of taken hold in modern society, but is really not what I'm going to talk about today. Buddha said it like this: enlightenment is the end of suffering. So by saying what it's not, no suffering, he's not making it into a superhuman accomplishment, not something that you have to strive for many, many lifetimes down the road of life. It is something that you can achieve literally right now. He said the greatest gift you can give to the world is to be enlightened. Boy, could we use that in this day and age, huh? More enlightened people on this planet. Jesus put it this way: to you it has been granted to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. To know the mysteries. Whenever he talks about the kingdom of heaven, he's really talking about enlightenment. He's talking about this vast connection with the infinite intelligence that Ernest Holmes writes about pretty much in every paragraph of The Science of Mind. And here's the thing, though. Here's the little inside dope, you might say. You already are enlightened. You just don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
We have these really crazy ideas about what enlightenment is, but it's really a way of being here and now, rather than a set of goals or magical skills to achieve sometime in the future. Yes, that is possible. I do believe in the infinite nature of human potential. I've actually witnessed it. No, I didn't see a guy walk on water, but I was in the presence of a great master who actually stayed at our home several times. And it was an interesting thing. Whenever he was within just being able to see him, or sometimes just think about him, I could not physically be upset.
Mm-hmm.
It was impossible to be uptight, worried, anxious, angry in the presence of this man. There's a song on our CD about him. It's called The Most Extraordinary Man. And this man definitely had a presence about him. Peace. Deep, abiding peace. And to me, that's kind of about the best way you could describe enlightenment. As Buddha said, it's the end of suffering. If you're not suffering, you're at peace. You know, in the study of all things spiritual, philosophical, psychological, metaphysical, this often gets overlooked. And yet, it is the linchpin that holds the entire thing together, our very being. If one gets it, if one gets this idea that we are already enlightened, and is there in the background going, hello, remember me? If you're willing to step into that, everything else in your life tends to kind of fall into place. For example, if you're doing a spiritual mind treatment, your degree of presence, your degree of being here and now with the treatment will determine the degree of effectiveness of the treatment. If, on the other hand, you're thinking about your to-do list and, oh, that jerk that cut me off on the freeway 10 minutes ago, I'm still ruminating over that one, chances are the treatment is not going to be particularly effective. You even said something about this in your reading. It's getting down into the depths of your being. That's when this stuff really takes hold. Now, why is it that if we're enlightened, we don't know it? There's really two illusions at play here that keep us from realizing this light within: the egoic mind and psychological time. I'm going to go a little Eckhart Tolle on you here. He talks about this brilliantly in his book, The Power of Now. The egoic mind, what is that? Well, according to the American Heritage Dictionary, the ego is the self as distinguished from all others. It's who you're not, but who you think you are.
Yeah.
The ego is an interesting construct of the human brain. Vernon Howard, one of my favorite metaphysical writers, said it like this: as a baby growing up, we're innocent, we're pure, we're in wonder of the world, just looking around us, using our five senses like little sponges. We absorb things, we absorb experiences. They become memories. We absorb perceptions, they become memories. And, we experience things that we like, things that we don't like, and they become memories. And pretty soon, as we grow and have more and more experiences, they begin to form into these little networks in the brain. There's the things I don't like, there's the things I do like, there's the things that keep me safe, and the things I should avoid, like that hot stove I put my hand on when I was 2 years old. We begin to form beliefs about this kind of stuff. And eventually those beliefs swarm into kind of a global belief, such as people are fill in the blanks. People are amazing, people are great, people are evil. We get this kind of stuff and we begin to form beliefs about this. After a while, these beliefs become who we are. That's the ego. It's the sum total of our experiences, memories, belief systems, running our life on autopilot. René Descartes, a famous philosopher from France, said this famous dictum that has become sort of the foundation of intellectual philosophy. He said, when noticing, how can I be sure of anything, he noticed he was thinking all the time. I think, therefore I am. Makes pretty good sense until you realize that what he had really discovered was the fundamental error of human existence. We equate thinking with being. We equate the ego mind and all those little beliefs, memories that are churning around constantly, like, as they say in the East, the monkey mind. The monkey jumps from branch to branch, from tree to tree to tree, and he never stops. And we begin to think that's who we are. And that's the wall that we build around us that keeps us from being enlightened. Right along with that is the idea of time. I'm looking at this clock here, making sure I don't go over. And yes, for practical purposes, time is a reality. We need calendars to set appointments. We remember holidays, birthdays, things like that. We need a watch or a clock or a smartphone to know what time it is relative to other people. I'll meet you Tuesday at 12 o'clock. And that's a future reality for us, right? But here's where it kind of breaks down. It becomes a psychological thing then. We're thinking about, what have I got to do today? What happened in the past? Oh yeah, that mother of mine, boy, she was a piece of work. And we have all these kind of go back in time, go forward in time, sort of machinations of the mind that keep us from being fully here and now. When we're in the time-bound mind, this can happen in one of two ways. Some people, they're on the timeline, they're walking, past is back here, future is up there. Other people will look at the timeline like, remember in early math class in grade school, there's the number line, right? Here's 0, here's the negative numbers, here's the positive numbers. We see that kind of like, here's present, there's the past, there's the future. But either way, except for practical purposes like appointments and things like that, time is an illusion. Have you ever been anywhere or done anything that was not in the now? Now is kind of an acronym. It stands for no other when. The future doesn't exist. The past does not exist, except as a memory or as an anticipation. Now, eventually, okay, well, gee, Barry, you're telling me that tomorrow, Monday, doesn't exist? It doesn't. Until it becomes now. Now it's Sunday. In 24 hours, now will be Monday. You follow me here?
Yep.
Yeah, and we were little kids. Now was 1960 or whenever you were a little kid. Yeah, fine, for practical purposes. If I hadn't learned how to tie my shoes when I was 5 years old and reached back into that memory of tying my shoes, I'd have to relearn it all over every time I wanted to tie my shoes. So for practical purposes, yeah, memory and anticipation are good. It's good to set goals. I'm not advocating being a leaf blowing in the wind without any kind of plan or calendar or clock to help you, assist you in your interactions with other people. But what I am saying is to obsess about the past or the future, it pulls you right out of the now and it puts you right into the ego mind. So, who are you really? If you're not your ego mind, who are you? Well, science has a really interesting answer for this. As a human being, as a physical body, you're made up of cells. The cells are made up of molecules, which are in turn made up of atoms, which are in turn made up of protons, neutrons, electrons, subatomic particles like croutons. But you know what's interesting about all that? It's mostly space. If the nucleus of an atom were the size of that bowl right there, you blew it up so you could really look at it, the nearest electron would be about halfway to Fallbrook. Wow. And it would be about the size of a grain of sand. This is the scale on which matter is constituted. There's a huge amount of space in between things. Now, it's ever moving, it's energy, it's not really particles as we think of like, a little rock or something like that. It's actually mostly space and energy. So who are you? You are space and energy. What's in the space? Well, a great seer named Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, you may remember him as the Beatles guru, said that space is filled with infinite being. And those subatomic particles spontaneously arise out of that being. This is why Ernest Holmes writes in The Science of Mind, we are one with God. We are literally, it's going through that space in our very molecules. It is, those molecules are arising out of that space. This is why when you get really present in a meditation, you can feel a deep abiding sense of peace and energy. You feel kind of like energized sometimes. But then in comes the ego. The ego's need for opposition, enemies, otherness, and its biggest enemy, the present moment. Then where are we? We're fighting against what is. We're fighting against who we are. Ken Keyes, the writer of a great book I read when I was first into this stuff, had this great pithy quote. He goes, we're not really sure what we want, but we're damn sure it's not this. Whatever is happening right now, I don't want it. I want something better. I want more. Oh gosh. So we need to get present. Really, when you come right down to it, living in this moment is where it's at. Living in the past, regret, missed opportunities, resentment, anger, sadness, feelings of loss, nostalgia for the good old days, doesn't really help you. Conversely, living in the future on that magical island called Someday I'll. Someday I'll have $1 million, then I'll be great. Someday I'll find the perfect soulmate, then I'll be great. Someday I'll have that great job that I've always wanted. Someday I'll live in a place where the weather is perfect all the time year round. I want to deal with the heat and the cold pursuing your goals with grim nose to the grindstone determination, because in the future, that's where it's at. Boy, it's like going over my outline. I've covered a lot of this stuff already. The answer, again, Maharishi said, the answer to all problems lies in the realization that there are no problems. Yes, there are situations, things we may want to improve upon, but the ego loves to make them into a problem. Like a dog with a bone. Singing their teeth in those problems. Gives me something to live for. I got problems. You want to hear about my problems? I'll tell you about my problems. So, what do? We get present. How do we get present? Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff. There's like 7 portals to the present moment. And some of them were pretty obvious, but some of them was kind of like, wow, I never thought about that before. Okay, the first portal to presence is watching your mind as if it were something else. You ever sat at a railroad crossing and you watch the cars go by? You know, oh, there's the engine. Oh, there's a boxcar. Oh, there's a tanker car. You don't sit there and go, God, I hate engines. God, boxcars are the worst. And those tankers, God, with their oil spills. You just watch the cars go by. Okay, when it's done, it's going to be my turn. After the caboose, I can go. Arms lift up and we're fine. So watching your thoughts in a detached manner, not judging yourself for having those thoughts. That's what the mind does. It churns out thoughts like sausages all the time, all day long. Even when you're sleeping, you're dreaming. Those are your mind churning out thoughts. You can't stop it. Don't try to stop it. Watch it. Oh, interesting. I haven't thought of that in years. Watch your own thoughts with a detached, observational presence. Number 2, feeling into the body. This is a great one. This is why in India or in China they have Tai Chi, in India they have yoga. It's about body awareness. It's about getting your mind out of your head and back into your whole totality of being. Feel the body. Active listening, number 3. When you're talking to someone, when you're talking with somebody, have you ever noticed all you can do is wait to get your words in? Let me put in my 2 cents here. Yeah, I'll tell you all about my problems too, you know. How about, instead of that, we feel in our body and really listen and let the words go in and almost like repeat them as they're being said. It's interesting what happens when you do this, and I gotta admit, I'm not an expert at it, but when I do, all the subtext comes up intuitively. You say, well, this person's saying this thing, but what they really want to say or what they really mean is kind of over here. Active listening is a wonderful way to really get in touch with somebody. Just let the words hit you. Don't think about what you're going to say. Just repeat them in your own mind. Number 4, acceptance of what is. This is a big one. Now, acceptance of what is doesn't mean you're going to accept what is forever and ever. You know, you're driving down a muddy road and your tires get stuck in the mud and you're brodying out. Now, you can choose to get angry about it. In fact, most people don't have any choice in that. They just get angry about it. But if you accept, oh, okay, I'm stuck in the mud. I'm going to come up with a solution for this based on the fact that I'm accepting of it, rather than I'm angry about it. God, I shouldn't have bought those tires. Those are horrible tires for muddy roads. Oh, why did I go this road? Why didn't I go on the paved road? I thought I was going to save time. Now I'm going to be stuck here forever. Acceptance of what is means that, yeah, I'll find a solution to this issue, but right now, I have to accept I'm stuck in the mud. Doesn't mean you're going to stay there forever. Inner silence, this is a good one, number 5. Listening to the space between your thoughts. When you're doing the watching, notice that sometimes your thoughts stop, just for a moment. And if you have a meditation practice, those moments get longer and longer of clock time. And eventually, they can get really long. And here's what happens. This is really interesting. The longer you stop thinking, the more you become aware of your inner divinity, of your God self, of your soul, of your spirit. Call it what you will. It's there. It's just waiting for you to shut up long enough to let him back in. Inner silence. If you don't have a meditation practice, don't stress out, oh God, I should have a meditation practice. When you're driving in your car, feel your hands, feel your body. You can still watch the traffic and be safe. Watch your breathing. You'll notice your thoughts start to subside. You'll notice when somebody cuts you off, you don't go into reaction. Oh, you must be in a real hurry. Well, that's great. God bless you. Pathway number 6, dreamless sleep. This is a very, very small percentage of the night, and unfortunately we don't remember. But it's absolutely necessary to our existence. If we didn't have dreamless sleep every night, well, you'll know this if you've gone a night without sleep. Next day isn't such a good day. You know, it's hard to function, your mind isn't clear, you're nodding off in class or whatever. Deep dreamless sleep is where we heal all the cells of our body. It's where we release all the pent-up frustrations of the mind. And it is the ultimate in presence. There is no thought. And then finally, portal number 7, death or the final transition. I happen to believe that we don't really die. The body dies, to be sure. There's a difference between a live body on this end and a dead body at the morgue. They're two very different things, even in the same person. If you've ever been to a funeral and you see a dead person, you go, well, that's not my Uncle Joe. He's not there anymore. You know, oh yeah, that's the vehicle he used to get around. We should all become very much at peace that this is where the parade is heading. And here's the thing. We don't talk about this much in Science of Mind. I wish we did. There's a long tradition in Tibet of people who have had what we in the West call a near-death experience. Volumes and volumes that have been written down by the lamas there of people who were dead for many days and came back, explaining and describing what they saw, what they experienced, what their consciousness brought back to the body when it was revivified. Interesting stuff, but suffice it to say that I can do a whole talk on this. When you leave, you're going to see a bright white light. We've all heard about the big white light that everybody sees when they die, right? Go into it with joy and gratitude and bathe in it. That is you. That is your original face, as Ken Wilber says. That is who you are at your spiritual core. The ego will melt away, and you will have a much better transition to the other side. So if there's one thing that you have learned in this talk, that's it. Okay, so finally, let's deepen the presence a little bit, okay? Let's get right down into it here and now. And we did this a little earlier, but I'm going to do it again and talk you through some things here. Okay, now sit comfortably, spine erect but not tense. Take a nice deep breath and let it out. And do another one. And notice the sensation of the air coming in your nostrils. Filling your lungs and then releasing. Now put your attention on your hands. You're probably noticing your hands are tingling a bit. You can feel there's a life force there. Hands are very sensitive, lots of nerve endings, so it's a good place to start. Now let that presence and attention move up your forearms to your elbows. Now feel your forearms and your hands tingling and alive. And bring that feeling up into the upper arms, across the shoulders, and into your head. And feel the aliveness inside there. And let that feeling gently go down into the chest, the heart, focus on the feeling of it. If some thoughts come up, observe the thoughts, but let them go. Breathe in and breathe out. Stay here, stay now. You are probably noticing an inner silence, the thoughts are slowing down. And a sense of profound peace is coming over you. This is Enlightenment 101. This is the first step. It has infinite depth. It's a really good way, especially when you have a big decision to make about something, to get in touch with your intuitive faculties. Most of us have been living as if we're in a cave behind a waterfall. The waterfall goes and goes and goes, and we think this cave is the entire world. But what if one day the waterfall stops, and you look out at that vast panorama beyond the cave? Suddenly, oh my God, there's sky. There's a forest, there's hills, there's other people, animals. Listen to those birds. All I heard before was This is what it's like when we begin to systematically, regularly in meditation stop the infinite onrushing thought process and get in touch with that deep inner peace that is who we truly are. So I want to close with some final thoughts here. This is from Emerson. The essay was Self-Reliance, and I'm going to update the verbiage here a little bit, but he says it like this. The roses under my window make no reference to former roses or to better ones. They are for what they are. They exist with God today. There is no time to them. There is simply the rose. It is perfect in every moment of its existence. But we human beings postpone or we remember. We do not live in the present, but with reverted eye, lament the past, or, heedless of the riches that surround us, stand on tiptoe to foresee the future. But we cannot be happy or strong until we live with nature in the present moment above time. Last thoughts. Always remember, you are enlightened. Feel into the body, breathe consciously, watch the mind, and then when you're back doing things, be attentive in what you do. I'm writing a book called Now Hear This, Now Hear This, but it's H-E-R-E, not H-E-A-R. Be now, be here, be this, the thing that you're involved with. In totality, be present with it. And when you get distracted by the ego, as we always will be, being human beings, what do? You come back to feel into the body, breathe consciously, watch the mind, and be attentive in all that you do. And if that fails, then feel into the body, breathe consciously, watch the mind, and be attentive in all that you do. And you will then truly discover the solution to all problems is the realization that there are no problems. Simply things to be dealt with here and now. And so it is.
And so it is.